Lemon Nation comes to try and help and resolve onto Zig. He flashes out of the situation. They're getting a few kills. One onto high. They are able to drop Ryu, though, so the mid laner damage is gone for both sides. Here comes Alltech. The triple kill. Looking for the fourth kill. He's going to get it. Quadra kill for Alltech coming into game 2.
He wants that as FlyQuest
looks for the nested. Living artillery to the fountain. Will they be able to find it? The King's going to get it to him. Is it a third game Penta? Yes, it is. The Penta kill for Alltech on the Cosmo.
The Vancouver native gets a pentakill in game 2 to bring it back to Fly.
Obviously incredible there for Alltech, but before we jump into game 3, let's take a look at how one of you or a group of you are celebrating this finals weekend. At X Mayonnaise is in the house in full FlyQuest gear. I'm gonna show you up in that one. It's pretty much amazing, and of course, be sure to keep tweeting all. There we go, now we get to see it. Full FlyQuest gear, always amazing as well. Please keep tweeting all week for how you are supporting your favorite teams and supporting the game, and now it is time to get ourselves to the game 3, so casters, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Freak. Welcome back to the desk, everybody. We're getting ready to get into game 3, and following a Penta, P1's going to have to do some big stuff to light the stage up, light the event up for them again, get the fans behind them. They were getting the vote there, but FlyQuest just made a very good case for themselves.
Yeah, and they have to be feeling very confident now. I mean, that's one of the best feelings to get a pentakill coming, you know,
Right
in
at the end.
Vancouver for Alltech. They've got to be filled with a lot of confidence,
Yep.
and they're playing really well as a team. There was no hesitation. Everyone dive the fountain,
Yep.
sacrifice your lives, everybody in there. Let's make this
How it
happen.
works.
Clear call for the team there, but I actually love that we're seeing Moon and Alltech, two guys who haven't made it that far in playoffs previously, actually have some good performances there in that last game, because a lot of the times we talk about nerves and how people don't want to pull the trigger, but we saw that Alltech
Yep.
on that Kog'Maw knew when to back up when he didn't have flash and knew how to go forward and when to actually go incredibly aggressive.
We were saying even in the games that they lose, and we saw it in first game, he was 2-0-0. He still
Yeah.
has good positioning. He still has good play. He brought that momentum from himself from game 1 to game 2 and shined right through.
And there's something here that's a little bit curious, and I want to keep exploring as
Yeah.
we see Phoenix 1 in the summer, is that Shady kind of has never been given a rookie entrance. The
Yep,
guy had
right.
to play against the top 2 teams in his debut in week 9. Then he was played in playoffs. Every time Shady has played, it's been a game where you're like, you have to perform. And right now, he's in front of this large crowd, and he's only had a few games inside the LCS studio. So maybe he's not winning lane or helping Arrow win lane as much as they
Yeah.
have been seeing from him in scrims.
It
Yeah.
really means a lot.
It does. I thought he did a really good job in game number 1 with the Lulu. Even in that small clip where we hear the communication of the team, and they were all timing their shields. That's one of the most important things
Yeah.
in these multi-shield compositions, where your AD carry has to rely on when exactly the cooldowns are coming through. So those are definitely good indicators for him. We'll see how well he does when we have this pressure, right? This is obviously going to be a longer series, and the pressure does mount here as we get closer
Yeah.
and closer to crowning our 3rd place winner.
You say longer a series as well. As the games go on, the teams temper their play a little bit. It's the play to not lose type of composition that you see. As we get the first ban phase out here coming into game 3, still a bit of aggression probably to be seen from these teams to get those first 2 wins under their belt first.
So now what do? Do you ban the Ivern if you're Phoenix 1? Do you ban the Ashe like you did before? Do you ban Kog'Maw?
I don't think the Ashe comes into the question anymore with the way
Ivern.
that the series is developing. Ivern was the first pick and is the only jungler that is like Ivern. Whereas Lulu and Karma are very similar, and you can trade them.
I like
there is no other jungler that really
Yeah.
fills the space that Ivern does.
Right.
Right now, though, the Kha'Zix first pick, because Jungle had 3 bans thrown towards it, means Phoenix 1, potential for Lulu Kog'Maw pickup here. Or they could go for that early Rumble that they've been going for as well. Lulu Rumble was their last rotation in the previous game. But you saw that that actually did not prevent FlyQuest from playing Talon mid because they had enough magic damage from the fact that they had the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and you can slot other attack speed 80 carries into the Lulu composition. So I do kind of like the opting for a bit of each with the Lulu and the Rumble, or Lulu and a side pick here. Very interesting, guys. This is definitely flexible.
Yep.
Inori could take this into the jungle, but as well Zig from the top lane. So And also adding disengage is another extra level.
A support, Greg?
Huh?
Go ahead.
No.
This is actually double flex because there's potential for Lulu to be played mid. We saw Power
Right.
Evil do it.
Yeah.
We've seen it from Faker as well last night. But also the Gragas, it's so interesting because this is kind of the pick that a lot of teams, when they see it, say, okay, we can't pick Kog'Maw here because he will disengage the Kog'Maw who wants to play frontline from the rest of his team.
But it also works really well with the Kog'Maw because I say, oh yeah, there's no other jungler that fills an Ivern space. Gragas is one of the few that can actually disengage. You talked about with the ultimate there. Is a very good body blocker. So we shall see how Phoenix One want to play this one out. The lane assignment's definitely still up in the air.
Yeah, it's like Gragas, Lee Sin are the two for disengage.
Oh.
Gragas definitely the better. And once again, the Jarvan top for Zig here. He played it up against Impact in their final game against Cloud9. Didn't go well for him, though.
Can have an extreme result. However, if you get going ahead of time, we've seen that multiple times.
It's like a doctor's warning.
Yeah, right?
Meanwhile, Haya has gotten his hands on the Orianna. Been banned out in the second phase constantly here. Both these teams have played a tremendous amount of it, and that is the control mage, those regular, most standard basically style of play that we see is when FlyQuest have the tank top lane for balls and the Orianna mid for high. This is their 5-on-5 mindset.
Yeah, this is really what they like to play so they can group up instead of having to split a whole bunch. But I feel like it's not as strong of a suit for FlyQuest as they'd like it to be in Champion Select because now both of their solo lanes get countered and they get to know exactly what they're being played into here from Phoenix One side.
I feel like they're trying to steal away another shield that might have been Ryu's in that mid lane. Ryu, a very good Orianna player himself, combined with that Lulu, may equal the Kog'Maw later in that picking for Phoenix One.
And even though Phoenix One got to pick their top laner after FlyQuest, Jarvan into Nautilus, not a big counter, not something you have to be worried about up there. So not really too bad as far as that.
Yeah, it's like you would think he'd go for something that's like a hard counter, but Nautilus pretty safe up top, just has shove advantage.
Ryu has a trend going. He's played everything high played last game so far.
This is really interesting because they banned out the Karma, so you won't have two shields on your team from FlyQuest side if you go for the Kog'Maw here. But right now, Phoenix One are basically saying, we want to play Kog'Maw. We want to play magic damage dealing bottom laner.
Exactly. That's the first thing that jumps out at you is like double attack damage solo laners is very, very risky. And these still could be shuffled around a little bit, but they're still going to be a bit loaded here if they do not go for the Kog'Maw.
I'm gonna say Altec going for the safety for himself. He knows a lot of people could jump and hop onto him. The Ash arrow would have been great if he wasn't looking at that specific composition, and it was going to be a Kog'Maw with that team. We'll see what they ended out though on the side of Phoenix One as they see the Malzahar and Ezreal being locked in.
Yeah, I do like the Ezreal when you're facing this much dive, and he can actually, this would be one of the games where you can opt for the Frozen Fist for Ezreal rather than the Trinity Force option. Go for the Iceborne Gauntlet. But obviously there is another AP bottom laner that is available, and
Needed some more.
that is where Phoenix One are directing this one.
Making sure they don't have to play that low mobility on the Kog'Maw and also free themselves up for even more magic damage because it's very physical damage heavy for Phoenix One. They don't want to over-index on it with an AD carry, so they go for an AP bot laner here. And this is super cool because a lot of people forgot about Ziggs. He'll shove that lane very hard.
Plus, it opens up, we get to see the Lulu combined with Assassins, which is always kind of an afterthought as opposed to the hyper-scaling AD carries where you really get to maximize the attack speed bonus. Lulu with Assassins also extremely deadly, and does peak very early as well. We'll see if Ryu, who has had very good talent performances in the past, will be able to get in there for those critical plays. Dive along with Zig.
Like seeing the aggressive compositions come out. We go down the line to see what these two teams are matching up as. A little bit of a switch up here for both the junglers once again. And the bot lanes being changed up very much so as we are heading into game 3. Teams are diversifying in the picks and bans and pulling out all the stops here as we get some new compositions. And hardly anything really of the same. Balls on that Nautilus. We're going to see what the rest of the team has. Kog'Maw not in this one as it has been prioritized. Teams are going to have to make the changes if they want to find the victories here. Into game 3, we're about to be on the Rift. FlyQuest versus P1. Let's see who can take the game. The momentum to FlyQuest.
All right, once again, eyes are going to be on the junglers. I love watching Gragas plays early on. Just the level 3. Where's he going to throw his first flash gank? could be critical. Ryu, obviously, is definitely a prime target, but sometimes the most obvious targets are not the best. Top lane as well, you know, early on, Nautilus as well can be punished.
And the picks that came out for P1 this game with the Gragas and the Jarvan, when I looked at the draft from the last game and the very end, I wrote down thinking more engaged for P1 because they looked a little bit frustrated in how they had to start fights in the last 2 games, which was Zig ultiing with a Rumble for a soft engage. Now they have Gragas for a hard engage. They have a Jarvan, which will dive in. So now they can force the issue a little bit more. They still have a poke and a pick pattern that's available to them, but they do have the potential to go for those hard engage fights.
Plus, there are some interesting synergies that we don't often get to see, right? Jarvan Cataclysm holding people in place for his Zig ultimate from a bottom lane arrow. That could be very good AoE, you know, combinations that you are not really used to seeing. The only thing in there's also kind of anti-synergy with Gragas. Line them all up and then knock all the pins out of it. But we shall see, you know, how well they are able to coordinate all of these very flexible skills.
Yeah, everything spells fight. Double ignite run by P1 this time. Defensive spells for Fly here, so you can see the kills coming in early.
Yeah, against the Talon, you want that exhaust on your support. You want to have that barrier in the mid lane. Make sure you don't get blown up very early on. And look at this. Oh, he's like, nope, don't check it. We see it. You don't have to go over there.
Yeah, this is such a good setup and something you can only really do with Malzahar, where your bottom lane almost fully leashes the red there for Moon. He does not spend the extra time to kill the large Raptor, just lets that one leash back, but very quick to his level 2, plus his red buff, and does set up some really early options. Talked about Nautilus being an early target possibility. It's also very good at setting up ganks, so Moon could have a very early timing on the top quadrant of the map, or even just go to steal away Inori's red.
I mean, he's about to hit 3 off of this, and that'll be about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and he's ready to go gank. He's ready to go somewhere. He's looking mid.
It's like he's going to have the inner track.
Looking for the high Moon setup. He's going to go.
They're already rolling towards the bottom side, so he may have to keep that. There's a flash in.
Is he
Moon
faster?
will be able to get the slow out.
Got the auto.
1Q, he wants to give it over. No, he's actually going to take it himself. And Moon and High starting it off in the mid lane.
A lot of credit there to the bottom lane. The Malzahar pick with Voidlings able to get that super powerful leash to allow for the early timing here. Wow. And Ryu playing very aggressively around that mid lane. Good punish by Moon getting in there.
So the first leash, what happened was Moon cleared small raptors only. Had the red buff leashed for him, so he killed small raptors, hit 2, did red buff, ran over to blue, did blue, hit level 3 much faster than you normally would because of that. So didn't even have to kill the big raptor, went back for it after that gank.
Inori has his work cut out for him. Bottom side of the map is clear. He heads to the top now as Ryu returns to mid lane. That flash is down, so expect a repeat gank coming in. There was flashes blown as well on the side of FlyQuest. So we'll have to see if that plays in the favor of Inori as they come back in. Ignite is still up as well for some kill pressure.
FlyQuest have done such a good job of snowballing games in which either Moon or High is the beneficiary of First Blood, which has been a large amount of their games as well. And the early skirmish has paid off once again. Now it comes down to the confident play calling. And yeah, it's exactly as I said at the very beginning. And we have seen this before as well, but Malzahar is able to set this super leash up for Moon to be able to get off that early timing.
Yeah, that's going to be something that the coach from Phoenix 1, Fly, is going to be like, this is exactly what happened, because this is a super unusual gank timing. You are not expecting this at all.
It all plays into their favor, and it was all set into position as soon as they got onto the rift.
And it's so weird, too, because they saw that leash. They had a ward in the red pit, and they saw the Malzahar Voidlings leashing the red buff. So they kind of had an idea, but they didn't have the idea it was going to be that fast.
What a gigantic steal there with the W for Moon. Large chunk of cash out of Inori's pockets.
He's not having a good time, Inori, that is. And they're going to head towards mid, just at least giving Ryu a little bit of pressure so High can still even be safe, get this lane pushed, and get the buy he may need.
We're seeing people fight over chickens at 4 minutes and 30 seconds pretty much every game, or at least look for it.
A Kha'Zix setup with this good of an early game because incredibly scary for Gragas to walk around face checking. And look at this, Honori has gone with that Dark Seal snowballing item for jungler. Definitely very risky here. He's going to have to worry about even checking brushes in his own jungle, as Moon is already moving in to get very deep warding here with their upgraded jungle items.
Yeah, and on the opposite side, looks like it'll be the exact same for Honori. He's going to go for the wards here, pretty much mirroring the wards that were placed down by Moon in his jungle.
No camps for him to take away, though, so big difference here.
There is a top laner to gank, though, with a Blast Cone.
Balls has flash. We'll see if he can get away from this one.
You do have Body Slam Flash for Honori, and look at that. If you can get in front of Ball, or maybe Flash his hook.
Gets himself just on the other end of the minion line, so the body slam doesn't connect fully. A nice job, though. Flash blown in the top side. Can still stay safe with Anchor Toss, but Honori now has an option to go to pick up that kill that Fly already has.
And people have harped on Ball's, laning for quite a while. But one thing he does very well has been surviving as a tank in the top lane. And now that his flash is down, he plays very defensively. It does not overextend.
Yeah, you would hope as well for the future because he doesn't have that flash. He has no way to get out of that Cataclysm from Jarvan. So this could be a kill if there's a repeat gank or if Zig actually gets him low enough. But Zig wants to back now to get a buy.
And Honori's staying up there. Like, FlyQuest should know that Balls has to play super safe. They're going for the Dragon on the bottom side. Honori's still level 4, trying to wait around here in the enemy jungle. And even though finally a Gromp does come up and Balls is extending, if this doesn't pay off for Phoenix One, they're getting tremendously far behind.
And let's think about the routes that both junglers took, right? We talked about FlyQuest. Moon went from Raptors to red to blue to gank to Raptors to finish them off. That means his topside jungle respawns super late, and that's what Honori's been waiting for. These are unusual timers.
Zig is starting this off, but
oh, he just missed the wall.
He has not coordinated with Honori yet. Honori did finish the Gromp, and now he's coming. They might dive Balls.
Yeah, I don't think he could be okay on this one. The minions are going to follow him through. No, Honori, the flash forward. Wait, he's going to go back. One shot into the turret. Can he get another hit? He picked himself up a kill.
The Bumble-Rooski, they missed so much.
Talking about how much he can absorb in these situations, too.
Oh, so what Honori was feeling there is the pain of being level 4 and waiting around so long. So when the camps came up, he was like, okay, I got to start jungling these camps. So he starts on the Gromp at the same time when Balls is pushed up. Zig starts going for this trade. Takes him so long to get up there. And then Body Slam flashes onto the minions, get blocked by the minions. Tragedy here for Phoenix One.
And so what's going to happen in that meantime is, sure, he doesn't get to clear out the wolves or the blue, but on the other side of the map, Moon gets to do that. Moon will be able to take his blue away, and it puts him even further behind.
And look at this here. He doesn't get over the cannon minion. Blocks that. He's not level 6, so doesn't have the ult, and barely able to get Balls, but gives the kill back. So
and he was
definitely not worth
hanging out for so long to get that.
Yeah. And that's just honestly clever routing from Moon, but it is a little bit of luck there too.
For sure.
Because of the fact that Moon got the kill at the beginning, and then his route paid off because Honori tried to counter him on that side. So Moon's basically taken so much more of the jungle than Honori's even had rights to.
Definitely a switch from the first 2 games. If P1 has not gotten that early lead, Hai walking to the jungle.
Ryu's here.
Yeah, there is going to be a shield if Hai is able to, so it's a very dangerous spot that Ryu is in at the moment.
Jump over, look for him? No.
Oh, might be too close.
Oh, he's hunting Moon.
Yeah, once he's
Honori's going to try to flank him from the other side.
One hit, flashes out, still has the idea. Ignite goes down, the shield. And Protect coming in from Hai as he calls forward. And a nice dodge on the ultimate as well.
A lot used here, though. That was a bottom lane roam. Their bottom turret now is going to take the heat for that mid lane move and the ultimate from Arrow. He doesn't have ult to clear the bottom lane wave now.
Yeah, that might be that turret going down as well. They're chunking it out. They have Voidlings to take some extra damage from it, some extra shots.
Arrow's going to try to clear it. They do have great wave clear between Ziggs and Lulu. They're going to save it with just about 200 HP on the turret. And that it will go down quite fast. Ryu's getting pushed out of mid. If it's not the roam down that takes the turret, it may just be Altec and Elimination.
And when Ziggs was gaining popularity as a bot laner, it was because the item builds for AD carries felt really bad. People were rushing, BF sword, pickaxe, then the Zeal item. Now you have sustain built in for the Blade of the Rune King for a lot of these AD carries. So you aren't completely chunked out of the lane or pushed out early on. So Altec can survive a bit of that poke, stay up in CS against this wave clearing bot laner that he's doing such a fantastic job today in general.
Biggest thing, though, look at this 84 CS for high to Ryu's roaming Talon here. Barely trying to hit 60. This is Phoenix One really, really scrambling and fighting uphill at this moment. As he said in chat, like, this is the standard look from FlyQuest. This is them with their 5-on-5 tank balls, high on the mid lane control, and they are set up very, very well.
Yeah, that first gank, super clever. P1 has to watch that footage again for the next game, but look at this Zig. Pretty much dead, trying to pick up the CS.
I want this money.
Yep.
He just goes and picks up all the... Actually, wasting a few more seconds, so you could say Worth on his side. He gets the gold, but Worth for Moon and balls.
Yeah, it feels so bad there for Zig that, he did a tremendous amount of work to try and set up that gank from Nori on the top side, and then Moon just slots in, able to come over for the very casual kill on the top lane.
Is this what you meant?
Yeah, gank your lane, what? But definitely not going the way of P1 and FlyQuest up to a hefty lead early on in this game so far.
Elimination. Oh, takes his passive out.
Wow,
back with the squeaky rubber ducky. Mega Inferno Bomb to take him out. 3-2 here as P1 picks up a kill on the bot side. They need to start seeing results somewhere.
Nice work there from Arrow, taking off the shield and able to get the knockback here onto Elimination.
Yeah, 5 seconds before his flash was up when he died. It was so close, just a sliver left. So taking advantage of that timer and making sure that they can pick up a kill, get something back on some part of the map for Phoenix One. Because FlyQuest, you talked about it, 30 CS up in the mid lane. That gank early really set Ryu behind. He blew his flash, and then he's completely out of pressure as that Talon for pretty much the whole laning phase.
Has basically left the laning phase to see if he could find anything anywhere else on the map.
Just end it. Get me out of here.
Yeah, he has been ending it himself. Pushing some vision up towards the top. We saw him not come up with a gank onto Moon. Everything is kind of fizzled out here as P1 tried to make something happen. The bot lane, however, finding that kill.
Yeah, every single area of the map is in favor of FlyQuest.
Right.
Top lane winning, mid jungle winning, mid winning, bottom winning as well. Aside from that kill that Elimination just gave up, the CS was in their favor. So FlyQuest, even though the vision here, Phoenix One are doing a good job keeping it up, FlyQuest aren't really worried about it as they have so much gold to work with. Here comes an invade off of that vision, though, from Phoenix One, and they might try and create a play with the thing they do have going for them. Recall there from high, though, and the target not found.
Good warding as well would have made the team privy to the invade.
Yeah, there's a Mountain Drake coming up, so they're establishing vision around this area and looking to fight for it. Possibly push down bot with this shoving bottom lane. The Brillinomicon completed for Arrow, so he can just shove at will, has that cooldown reduction to 20%, and he can get to those turrets. So you pretty much always have priority. And Ruin, oh, he jumps in.
Ooh, big damage onto Ryu. That's going to stop him for this fight. And with the command protect, Moon comes out very healthy. See how P1 takes to this.
Also dissuades their play they were attempting on the bottom side there, where Nori had spent a while to slot into the bottom lane.
With a bit of damage down, it takes a little. But he's still able to get balls out, being a real nuisance in the top lane. Is the teleport we're going to see from balls really to possibly make a play, unless Moon makes another visit. Already 2-0-0 with almost full kill participation.
Yeah, even though the goal definitely for FlyQuest, as you said, Morellonomicon is such a huge early spike for the bottom lane, especially when you're up against an Ezreal going the tier. Takes a bit longer for him to create the Blade of the Ruin King than most other attack damage carries. There definitely is this window, and that's really the main window for Phoenix One. See if they can actually utilize it again. They've attempted to. Inori's been down here for a while, but moves right in to steal away this blue. Can they get...
He sees Inori with that sweeper. Oh, blows the ultimate there, but still Moon gets away with the buff.
Yeah, I mean, there's no smite for Inori, so there's no possibility of him winning a smite fight or anything, and it was just trying to knock that sucker away.
I mean, Pastry called him Mr. Steelio Camps in the intro. It's proven a hell of a lot right now for Moon.
Source.
Super, super heavy dragon control as well, double mountain. As we talked about in the last game, really does add a tremendous amount of threat to any sort of Baron base in the mid game. And FlyQuest are feeling very, very good about their resurgence in this series.
Slow.
Little parkour over the wall, nice dissonance by High. Him and Moon are working together very nicely on this Kha'Zix Orianna synergy as he continues to tack some damage onto mid lane.
And Ryu just backed, and now
Right.
they're going to take this mid turret off that pressure. He is getting punished.
Yeah, just incredible entire split actually from Moon. You know, this is a guy who was almost laughed out of the LCS.
Yeah.
And his resurgence has been amazing, just dominating here with FlyQuest. Always mentioned in the same breath as high as one of the critical members of this team.
Yep.
Now showing here, last game, adapting to Ivern, back to the kill here with the assassin jungler in Kha'Zix, and really controlling this game so well for the team. Now he's going to get invaded by Jarvan. Let's see what he does about this Zig approach.
Who's invading who?
Yeah.
But I definitely think that you're talking about Moon. He had big confidence issues as well. And now seeing him perform on a stage like this is a big leap for him in terms of his career.
And those confidence issues as well, shored up by the team. Coming in the first few weeks,
Absolutely.
playing Eve because they were behind him. What he needed in the previous splits, and finding that with FlyQuest. Showed FlyQuest when they started at their cap, which is why I think they may have gone down throughout the season. They're experimenting, but still, the power that they have given to Moon allowed him to work with.
Yeah.
It's been immense.
It's absolutely heartwarming to see, you know, a player come back from so much criticism and have such a, you know, big impact in this split. FlyQuest, though, still have a lot of work for themselves, trying to add game number 2 to their series victories.
I like the mid-jungle proximity that's going on. It's increasing as the games go on, and I bet it's going to be very high this one as well. Making sure that you shut down Ryu, you kind of attack the core part of the map, and think about who's in the finals, C9 and TSF. You're scrimming these guys, so you definitely have been practicing how to play around mid lane for the last few days.
Makes sense. It all just makes so much sense. And it seems like FlyQuest is able to take advantage of that a little bit more. It was a completely different story, almost mirrored by P1 the first time, able to hit onto high and able to hit on the top side. FlyQuest has been able to give P1 their own medicine 2 games now.
And just looking at this right now, Moon just leveled up his ultimate as an evolution. You look at that and you're like, oh man, actually, this happened the other day. I was like, oh man, I saw somebody with this cool Kha'Zix chroma. Because I never see anybody level ultimate on that skin. And I was like, what? So he's going to have that invisibility when he enters Brush, and then he's also going to have just 2 charges of it, but still, it's so good. If he's going for those plays where he's going for the autos, but I don't know if that's a misclick or not.
The autos as well as the speed buff, like it is a little bit, you know, undervalued for team fighting. And if we talked about transitioning, you know, assassin jungler into a team fighting phase where, you know, the FlyQuest mindset this time around is high on the Orianna plus balls on tank, then can allow you to maneuver a bit more in those team fights without having to get the reset kill that you would need for evolving your wings, which pretty much everybody goes for. Here we go, though. High having to defend himself.
And Ori trying to knock him
Nicely
back.
done, though, and Nori timing it a little too off there as High used everything behind him. And that was a beautiful shockwave to take the damage dealers down. The shield comes out immediately. Great fingers by Shady there to keep himself alive.
Yeah, didn't go for the flash, went for the shield, knew it would keep him alive there. But that gives so much pressure to the top side of the map now, and the mid for FlyQuest.
Zig there. Only throwing down a little bit of defense for himself, but here FlyQuest with the lead again, start their method to the madness, and they'll start taking down the outer ring of turrets. They do best when they don't stop, so it's up to P1 here to get the vision down and halt this snowball.
Pretty quick move here up to the top side. This top turret for FlyQuest has been fairly low. Ryu trying to get something back for the Phoenix One team. Should be able to answer this. Balt is on the way, but the Nautilus chase is not very threatening by himself. And actually has to be worried about being collapsed upon. Okay?
Got a nice wave of minions to do this with.
Great thing about being a tank is, even if it's possible for 2 members of the enemy team to kill you, you know, technically they would win a 2 versus 1. Sometimes it's not even worth their time because it takes so long to take you down.
It's like, you killed me, you lost your top turret. I can do math, that's like 450 gold for about 1,000. So hey, sounds good to me.
Rotation from Lemon Nation down to the mid lane. They do have to remember that there again has been an early QSS built by Arrow. So the Ziggs will have an answer to that. And might want to choose a different target for the ultimate. Here's their defense, though. High with the shockwave. Really good flash.
He already flashed it, and Nori throws out the cast. High couldn't even reach that point if he wanted to. He didn't juke. He didn't stop. He's running full force forward.
He dodged almost everything that the enemy team threw at him, including the extra players and the Zig ultimate. So
This is where I draw the line between dodge
stand
and somebody
still?
misses.
Yeah.
Phoenix One just kind of throwing everything at the mid lane.
I mean, they have to.
Nothing
He had
sticking.
a great
Yeah.
game on Talon last time. The Orianna seems to be able to provide a bit of damage as his positioning hasn't been the greatest, but able to get out of sticky situations. And that's going to make P1 want these kills more. They can't get the ones right now.
Yeah, you kind of feel the frustration.
They want it pretty bad. If they're going to go on him to him, they use just about everything they have.
All right,
And the kitchen sink.
They didn't throw everything before. They had one thing left here. Zig goes in, and now they've got him on the run. Should be able to secure at least a favorable numbers fight around this Drake, if not the Drake itself.
Exactly. There's a lot of teams that will fight for no reason, but this was a fight using cooldowns right before a Drake spawns. They're trying to go for this Moon.
Moon looking for the steal here.
There's no ward seeing him. He's in.
Oh, he gets it. They combo the True Shot Barrage with Moon. He makes waves, but he goes down as well.
Definitely worth it for him, sacrificing his life for an Infernal Drake. We are cresting the 20-minute mark. It really starts to provide that value. And man, Moon just will not let Phoenix One, sit on a victory for more than a few seconds after they get their big opening, their pick, to try and get an Infernal Drake and get back into it. Steals it away.
All right, let's see this one more time. True Shot.
That's an early smite from Inori as well. He smites early, then Moon's able to get in there, and Mr. Steelio Camp strikes again.
Mr. Steal your objectives. Should have changed the intro. This guy is just going off. He is adding titles to himself left and right. There's still more games to go. We already going to have 4 games out of this situation due to the 1-1. And P1, this is their time now to figure out FlyQuest, figure out what they need to do and hold off this aggression.
And this is a pivotal moment in this series. Currently tied, and the momentum already swinging towards FlyQuest's favor because of the way that they ended last game in such a pentakill, heartwarming fashion there for Altec. Like, they're just kind of filled with confidence here, and both of these teams are looking towards the summer split, are looking towards Worlds qualification, because with the way that the North American LCS sits right now, aside from TSM and Cloud9, the third place spot, the third place qualification to Worlds, which you would want to earn your points towards, is very much open, and a lot of the teams here are vying for that spot.
Yep, there's the Shockwave only onto Zig.
Yeah, it's quite a bit used on one member. Dredgeline as well also takes out Shady, but there's a few ultimates necessary to keep this fight going. FlyQuest does not have those. P1, however, can't re-engage either, so that shows you how far behind they are in this situation too.
Yeah, and they feel it. Right there, it's one of those situations where Zig is potentially thinking of flag and dragging in, going for a Cataclysm with the ultimate from Arrow, but he doesn't have it at that point. He's using it to clear, to get a little bit of poke.
5,000 gold down, and more than 5,000 gold down for Phoenix One.
Arrow
Dragons, and Arrow has to blow all of his summoners to escape.
Got a wild growth there as well, so things they want to be using in offense to prep their own fights are only defensively used, and means they have to be on their back, but that much more.
Oh, Ryu
almost deleted one. Moon already over the wall. Can't find Ryu as he gets one more hop over before coming back from Invis. But FlyQuest is just lighting the fuse immediately every time they see a member of P1.
They're milking these summoner spells out of P1.
Right.
They've had the Zig blow his flash in the bottom lane. Inori, Ryu, Shady all just blew theirs, and Moon is the only one who had to do his there.
Inori's chance to get back in for the Smite fight. Are they going to give it to him? 3,300 HP. They'll take the fight over the Smite, and now they may go back. They're going to keep the health down.
They still aggroed it.
Damage to Elimination, starts stepping towards the back.
Oh, he's
back there now. They are knocking aside to go in. He gets ultied and suppressed out.
Great suppression there from Lemonation over the wall, disallowing Inori from getting in or smiting, and really, really clean Baron take there from FlyQuest.
That's the jungler support right there. That's exactly what you want to see. No 50-50 on the board. Not even a possibility for Inori to get in the pit. He would have to do it so early.
Everybody on the page peeling back and going back to Baron as necessary. For FlyQuest, it is just impossible for P1 to find a way in to that fight. Still finding a few items to recipe into their inventories and a few completed. P1 looking to find a way into this game. What could it be other than, the mistake from FlyQuest?
Well, what they have to do is they have to go for that combo with Zig and Arrow, but it's not lining up correctly here in this game, and they have to find some picks. Right now, they're trying to kind of use the Jarvan to split push, but he's not far enough ahead to really kind of have that advantage. and when he groups up, they aren't pulling the trigger. And by the time they do look for the opportunity, Arrow's either out of mana or doesn't have the ulti.
Yeah, their only real opening would be if FlyQuest go for a very risky dive into one of the inhibitor turrets, and they try and get someone out of position at the same time. But, you know, the options are dwindling here.
Still decent wave clear on the side of P1. I don't know if Fly is going to be waiting for that wave clear anymore, though. With Baroned up minions, it kind of shuts down Arrow, and the rest of the team is forced to watch the minions pour into the base. Ryu can only do so much here as they now get onto the front step with just a top tier 2 up for P1.
Ryu is behind about 2,000 gold right now. Same thing in the jungle for Moon. He is up 2,000, and Zig also behind 2,000 from balls.
Yeah.
Only place it's even close would be that AD carry position or bot lane position. We have a Zig. Zig.
It's been a fun game. Ooh, Moon taking quite a bit of damage. You see how much they can contest this still, though. Saying maybe we can bait in the fight. P1 doesn't even want it. They have a lot of janitorial duty to do here with minions coming in each side, and FlyQuest knows it. They're going to still add the pressure.
Yeah, and Arrow actually doesn't do all that much damage with his ultimate just yet because he doesn't have something like a Luden's Echo. This is one of those tower-destroying builds. He's looking for Lich Bane's second. The QSS also delayed him from completing it, moving towards a third damaging item.
Zig's looking for an in. He could get 2 or 3 members here. Really just flexing his muscles to get FlyQuest off that doorstep.
Yeah, it's still so dangerous for them, right? Unless it's a perfect opening where they can actually burst someone out, there's no way that you want to go for an engage from Phoenix one side without FlyQuest burning a huge amount of cooldowns here.
Yeah. This is where if you're P1, you just say we play for 3 to 4 items, maybe even wait until 6 and try to stall.
Fire for late, boys.
Exactly. We scale, boys. Just wait. They'll give over a Cloud Drake, so nothing to cry home about.
Also in this situation, try to decipher what the enemy team is doing, figure out their rotations. It's a little harder when they can just do it with having more money and power. You can't really stop that at all times. So another dragon over to FlyQuest as they make a move to the base.
And I definitely want to bring this up because we talked about last game where it's like 5 turrets to 1. They're just being dismantled from a macro perspective. Again, 6 to 1 in turrets. FlyQuest are down in kills, 3 to 4 in the kill department, but they were winning their lane so hard, they're able to control the map, and then they're able to control the objectives from there. And a lot of that was the clever pathing of Moon that got him ahead, and then the lanes were able to just kind of feed off of that.
Readying the death blow here as FlyQuest try and surround Phoenix 1 base. The open mid lane is definitely standing and would be the prime target. Trying to push up bottom lane is Balls. Flank here in the waiting. Elimination does scout it out though, so Phoenix 1 just backs against the walls and they're ready to pull the trigger.
But it's a trigger where you're down 9,000 gold.
That's one of the key cooldowns.
There it is, we see it. Can they see it? Can P1 make this happen? Ball still over the wall, shield onto Nautilus, and gonna be very tanky. Still hesitant to get that engaged. They don't have full vision, and even with mess ups like that, it's still gonna take P1 minutes to find another opening, to find their way back in.
Yeah, they buy themselves a shockwave timer, and that's it worth time to push waves out, make sure that they aren't being sieged upon. But it's a long time before that Baron, a long time before that next Drake. So right now, there isn't really much for FlyQuest to play for except to keep kind of all the lanes pushed up, keep control, ward frequently, and then look for those openings. Which, that one with high with the shockwave, don't blame him for him because he's looking for it.
FlyQuest kind of reminds me of Jack's quote, "Imagine if I had a real weapon." FlyQuest is like, "Imagine if I had a standard comp."
I mean, it does make sense right now. They're doing a great job with the Orianna.
Yep.
Just kind of, I guess they hamstring themselves. They're like, we'll play Shaco. You know, go easy on the guy. But FlyQuest serious.
Using the lamppost for the regular season, but here, able to bring it out. And they have another tower ready to fall. Phoenix 1 have to retreat.
Easily pushing them off. Balls and Moon on the front side of the fight cannot be aggressed on or contested for that turret here. And now P1 trying to do a little vision denial. So one of those fights is in their favor. Things are not looking good, and FlyQuest very close to making this a game point series.
Yeah, we're seeing huge item advantages right now because there's a Trinity Force, 3-item spike for Altec right before the Baron comes up. So now they'll establish vision around it. They have an AD carry who does so much damage. Keep in mind, this is kind of a 2-threat composition for FlyQuest naturally, but they also have Moon who's ahead, and they also have some magic damage from Elimination. So there's a lot of people you have to pay attention to, but the ones you normally have to pay attention to are just so far ahead in the first place. Where you look over at somebody like Arrow, just completed 2 items with the Lich Bane, has a needlessly large rod, but then has the QSS, which is holding them down a little bit.
Keep your eyes on these deep wards in mid lane, though, because it's dangerous when Phoenix One are pushing out this far. The teleport is ready for balls, and FlyQuest want any opportunity to force an engage. If they can brute force some confrontation here, then they can definitely win that fight. The reason they don't have to risk anything, though, is Baron comes up in only 24 seconds, and they can, again, force around this neutral objective. But still, have to watch those deep wards, because balls on Nautilus is the prime flanking target.
He cuts over, gave that minion.
Nori looking for 2.
Side a little bit. Nice pop up there. Mego in front of him. Does a lot of damage. High is hurt. That's going to be a missed shockwave.
Zig is in.
Last shot from Ryu. That is Moon and High are down. Now they're looking for a Nori. Last shot's coming into the wall. Essence from Altec, and he gets the kill. And Nori is going to go down next. Altec trying to keep himself in the position. We saw him on that Kog'Maw on the outside and trying to be healthy. Balls keeping this fight going. 3v1, 2v1. He's going to take the 4v1 as the team comes up behind him. Here comes the cavalry. Here comes FlyQuest, and they're looking to ace P1. The final shot, the anchor toss from Balls, and they push Zig so far out. It's not going to matter.
They're going for the win here. They're in the middle inhibitor. They're going to keep pushing.
Balls keeps up the chase to interrupt Zig's teleport and or recall, and they're looking at the Nexus turrets.
They are absolutely 8 seconds on Nori. The ult's down. He doesn't have much to deny here. Balls making sure that no members are going to give a problem on the back. Go for one more. He teleports in. Nori going to do his damnedest here as Zig has finally made it back. And he's going to do what he can. Zig goes down. Now on to last Nexus turret. Enough minions there. Elimination. 5 and 4 seconds for the members of P1 to come up with 7 on Ryu. The Nexus is down to half. They're going for the final shot. Balls is on the backside and he's trying to get him in, but it looks like they're going to be able to stop it. The last breath from P1, and they may be able to stay alive. It's up to Balls, and he's knocked away. The game continues.
The rest of the team is here. High and Moon have come up the mid lane with a bunch of minions, but they're completely outnumbered, and they just can't. A few seconds too late there.
And now the whole mission for FlyQuest is keep these waves pushed. Don't let them go to the Baron. There's about 40 seconds before you have your entire team back up. This right here from Nori, great start, but the rest of it trailed off, and Altec has so much damage right now.
Yeah, this is one of the best possible looks that Phoenix One could get. You know, Nori gets into a great position, nails 2 of the key components of the comp. They get the combo. Zig ult does land, Ryu's ult does land as well, but the locket comes through, the shielding comes through, and they delay it for FlyQuest, then fight their way out of this 3v5 through the massive tank.
Exactly, and then Arrow actually tries to go for a play here onto Altec. Has to get locked up, and look at that, they're trying to do the Baron right now.
Right back to it. P1 playing the choose your own adventure, whether they can or not, and it's going to be a Baron. Elimination of the team able to push them out. And now they have to be careful with their HP a little lower and minions pushing in. Does FlyQuest pressure them to jockey for Baron?
Yeah, that was that small amount of the danger time that you're talking about, Zyrene, that FlyQuest had to weather the storm. Now, they're the ones, again, in control with all of the map pressure and burning down Baron.
Nori actually not going to go.
Back Inferno. So close. Going to High. You can see how intense these plays are. And a mistake almost going over to P1, but FlyQuest cleaned that up, and they'll be back with Baron once again.
Yeah, and a big part of that previous fight, just to jump back to it for a second, is Altec had 3 items, and Zig, in terms of armor, had Ninja Tabi, and then he also had just a cloth armor. He built for lane to make sure he's not just blown up by magic damage, had the full Spirit Visage, so he didn't really have any armor in that fight. And now Altec, 4 items, has the Lord Dominic's Regard, and he's going to be so hard to kill, but also he just does so much damage himself. It's really been Altec's day.
It really has that home crowd momentum. He is feeling it and using every bit of that energy.
He also played quite well against TSM's bottom lane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back in the semifinals.
5 dragons for FlyQuest. Not sure I've actually seen that many on one team in a game before. We got the Elder.
Mother of dragons.
Yeah,
5.
35 minutes in, 8-9 here as FlyQuest look to get the finishing touches on the base. P1 still with a hell of a fight. We saw what happened if Fly does not hit it perfectly, and they're gonna try. Arrow gets the wild growth right away. Fight on the back line, puts Zig down to below half, and now a dead Zig as he gets the panic, puts him down. High's in the middle, Zig coming back up on his Guardian Angel. Is Anuri close to going down, lives, the minion doesn't get him. High in the backside, very, very low, but very, very alive with the rest of his team as they move forward, dropping 3 members of P1. Now looking for the Nexus, now looking to bring it to game 4 as FlyQuest take the game and bring the series to game point.
Match point for FlyQuest here to take the 3rd place slot in spring 2017. People thought they were in relegation. People thought they were 9th, 10th. Definitely silencing all of those critics, changing it completely.
They constantly have to keep proving themselves, though, and constantly coming up big here.
P1 trying just about everything they have. We've had the AP top, the AD mid. We had AD top, AD mid, AP bot lane this time. They're really trying to pull out all the stops. What do they have next? They're also a team that can flex, but it seems like FlyQuest has been getting the best of the champion selects here.
Yeah, I mean, they decided to throw the curveball this time around and try and go with the Zig in the bottom, Zig's in the bottom lane instead of the Kog'Maw that has been working for both teams, even though they had already secured the Lulu. So a little bit curious there as Phoenix One looked to try and get some of the surprise, the kind of jump on FlyQuest, and FlyQuest were the ones to take the more standard approach.
Yeah, it didn't have the effect that they were hoping there. You were able to sustain with Altec getting a very early Vamp Scepter for himself. That bottom lane, we thought it would be a power point for Phoenix One. Definitely not in this game.
Not at all. So FlyQuest are now poised to take the series. So let's send it over to the analysts to get their thoughts on that game.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yeah, let's talk about this one. FlyQuest 2-1 in the lead now against most expectations here. And another game where it felt like they were in control for a lot of it.
Yeah, they're surging right now.
Yeah, they're playing extremely well. I think a lot of the same problems for P1. This game was similar to last game. You're not drafting any way to kill the front line, so you're essentially locking yourselves into having to win lane, be able to dive back line and kill them off. And I think a lot of the problems came from Ryu falling behind mid lane because bot lane did poorly. They couldn't kill the turret. They couldn't get mid lane and get Ryu, into a side lane. So he's stuck against an Orianna forever, where he was pretty worthless.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things we knew before the series about FlyQuest. Yes, they were inconsistent, but if they were to win, they're winning through their mid lane and their jungle. And something I loved about the start of this game was Moon's jungle path. I know they covered it in the cast, but we needed to hit it one more time just because of how much teamwork was required. He does the Raptor, the small Raptor get level 2, skips the big Raptor, and the red is just there for him. So the reason this is so important is if you do those Raptors, the red buff and the blue buff, he was here at about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And for Ryu, he thinks he has 25 more seconds before a level 3 double buff Kazis can come into lane, which is why that slingshotted them ahead so far.
Really, he gets that gank off, and I'm pretty sure at that time Inori is actually still level 2. He's like level 2
so
and
is
almost
everyone else
3.
in the game.
Sure, yeah. But
It's-
I mean, just beautiful.
It's great.
It was even really cool because the path he took, he could have gone top as well had Zig been pushing in. So it wasn't locked into a mid lane gank. He could have just taken Scuttle if both lanes weren't pushing in. So it's like he had so many options, and it was really well thought out from the team.
Yeah, I got to say, massive props to Moon, who's continued to impress that he was this good of a player, that, at least this year around here in this one. We have more to talk about in the jungle, though, because on the flip side, Inori felt and looked so uncomfortable on this Gragas.
And I don't know if it's nerves. I don't know if it's being out of practice on the champion. But I mean, everything from this early gank, the flash body slam, misses his Q, goes straight into the cannon, gives up an easy trade kill. And he was like 30 seconds late to that play.
Yeah, and this whole year, you can see another misplay right here where he overshoots the ultimate and also flashes late. And then to just kind of put the cherry on top, he gets the Drake stolen away from him. It was timed pretty well by FlyQuest, but these are the types of plays that can kind of tilt you 1 second further. And we know Inori's ego took a bit of a blow this year when Meteos came in. And this is actually a situation where you'd think you'd want to be able to sub a Meteos, but he's not here in Vancouver. So this is a time where he needs to be able to step up and get past this. And it's tricky, too, because he's getting attacked heavily in the draft phase by the opponent and by his own team. They're banning out Rengar and Ivern in this last game. He hasn't played Lee Sin all year, and his Gragas doesn't seem to be up to par. So it's a difficult situation here where he has to step up.
He's not even being attacked in game. He's being attacked by the crowd occasionally as well. There was a Meteos chant coming through the crowd during Game 3. And, I mean, thankful for Inori, he has a soundproof headset. He didn't have to hear this. But, I mean, when the entire audience is like, ooh, bring in the sub, bench this guy, like, that's got to suck if you could ever know that happened.
I mean, he doesn't have to hear it to know. Like, this is something that he's even talked about in the interviews, the constant comparisons to Meteos and the pressure that has brought onto him has been weighing on him constantly. And he has not really looked like the same player he was last year.
So rough stuff here. Of course, we can still continue to sing the praises of FlyQuest, though, who, look, it's the meme now. They keep defying expectations here. They win despite a very interesting team fight. It starts out with an immaculate 2 for 0. It's like, okay, Inori made a good play, sick. That's a sick 2-0, and then Altic just carries the rest of the thing out.
Yeah, and this was a team comp. This is a fight example of the problems that Isaac was pointing out about the team comp, where they do not have a tank killer. Because even if you're killing most of the people on the other team, they did not have a way of killing Balls' Nautilus in this fight.
Yeah, so as we will eventually roll it, you can kind of see what happens. Of course, there's Inori, and yeah, his spirits do look down, but we can see this was a really good play by Inori. It just gets turned around anyway.
This was actually such a good engage and really the best that they could really hope for. I think the fact that Balls itemized a little aggressive, went for Iceborne Gauntlet, knowing he's essentially untouchable, was really nice too, because he's actually putting out a lot of damage, and he's just shrugging off so many members that despite this horrible start to the fight, no one can ever deal with the tank.
Yeah, and you could see Balls knew this too. He's the only tank in the game at this point that's relevant aside from, the only tank in the game that is relevant. Altec then has enough damage to life still up at the backside of the fight, and since no one could get past Balls in this fight, he was able to chase everyone down.
Yeah, it's very interesting, it's been 2 games in a row where Phoenix One don't draft a tank killer. It was Jen in the previous game, and he went lethality first. Then here he picked up Ziggs, where Lichbane or not, like, that's cute, you have some poke damage, but your team fight damage is not there.
And to your point, the way that this comp can work, you don't necessarily have to deal with the tank, because if you win lanes, everything goes well with that. You dive backline, you eliminate all the threats, and then Nautilus is left there by himself. That's what they're trying to do. But when you draft these compositions with narrow win conditions, and then you fail in lane, you're doomed to lose the game, and that's 2 times in a row now they've drafted nothing to deal with the Nautilus.
Right.
Yeah, the drafts have been a little bit strange. I mean, I feel like their bans are hurting themselves a lot of the time, and FlyQuest, even though they had all this weird experimentation during the regular season, this was such a standard composition, and they actually played it very well. So they said they stopped kind of practicing those niche picks. Well, this could be the result of that practice throughout the rest of the year. Not to mention the experience, I think, is coming in huge. Being able to bounce back from that loss where Phoenix One doesn't seem to be able to bounce back from that Game 2 loss.
Well, I agree. It is really massive. And I know you had actually mentioned it in the previous post-game. You're like, ooh, does that pentakill shatter any hopes and dreams? And I kind of laughed. Like, of course not. These are competitors. But at the same time, FlyQuest the team where they reverse sweep you and that they don't really care at all. And Nori Lake could very easily just tilt off in this one and just have another really poor Game 4.
And I mean, Altec has 1 death so far in this series. He's playing incredibly well, and he's not normally supposed to be the FlyQuest win condition. When he's playing this well, the whole team is playing this well. They're looking on another level than P1 right now.
Yeah, and of course, just to mention it real quick, FlyQuest has chosen to play blue side in this game, so we are 4 games in a row on the same size. Everyone's still believing that they're making the right choice. FlyQuest believe first pick is worth it, and Phoenix One believes last pick is worth it. And despite the fact, it was interesting because you had made the point before that when FlyQuest win, they win through mid lane, and they don't care about counterpicking for high. And Ryu's getting counterpick, and now 2 out of 3 times is losing lane.
Yeah, and he lost lane because Moon dominated that game on Kazakh so hard. So I think we're seeing another first pick jungler. What I almost feel like Phoenix One has to do is leave almost all the junglers up. I know it seems like a sin to give Rengar away, but if you want Inori to be on a comfortable champion, and he is under so much pressure right now, he wants to perform. He wore a Vancouver flag onto the stage, right? He wants to perform in front of his hometown, so you have to get him a comfortable champion, and Phoenix One hasn't been putting him in that position to succeed.
Get him a comfortable champion, put Arrow on a champion he can carry. Kog'Maw was open, they didn't take it. He's their best player. You gotta change something.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see if that formula works out for Phoenix One or if FlyQuest is going to close out the deal today, but we're going to step away and see if that's going to happen. Catch you soon.